Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a non-technical professional trying to kind of wrap your head around artificial intelligence right now, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to demystify large language models, or LLMs, and give you a highly actionable guide on which major platform you should actually be using for your specific daily tasks. I'm super excited to share this with you, because figuring out how to properly use these tools, it's rapidly becoming just an absolutely fundamental career skill.
So we're going to start by popping the hood with this really fascinating analogy from our source material. I want you to imagine a person who has read literally everything ever published, every novel, every legal brief, every scientific paper. They can talk fluently about anything at all, but they've never actually experienced the real world. They haven't tasted food, they've never felt the cold, they haven't had a real conversation with actual consequences. They know perfectly how humans talk about things, but they've never encountered the things themselves. Well, that's exactly what an AI is. It's this encyclopedic familiarity, completely without real-world grounding.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. 1. Demystifying large language models. 2. Tokens, context, and probability. 3. Why AI models hallucinate. 4. Overview of major AI platforms. 5. Matching tools to tasks. And 6. Privacy and data sovereignty.
Let's jump right in. Section 1. Demystifying large language models.
Modern AI uses this specific framework called a transformer architecture. And honestly, it's essentially just a massive pattern recognition engine. They process this enormous funnel of human-generated text just to learn language patterns. So when you type in a prompt like, "Why is the sky blue?" the AI isn't going back and looking up a database of facts. It's not trying to reason out the truth. Instead, it's actually generating the most statistically likely continuation of your text based on all that vast training it did. Basically, it's a statistical model at work, playing the ultimate game of guess the next word.
Moving right along to Section 2, Tokens, Context, and Probability.
Every single language model processes text in these tiny little word fragments called tokens, and they're usually about 3 to 4 characters long. Think of tokens as the basic building blocks of AI language. But here is the absolute crucial limitation you need to know about. Every model has a context window. Think of this as the model's active working memory. It's the hard limit on exactly how much text it can hold in its brain at one single time during your session.
Notice the highlighted box here representing active working memory. This perfectly separates the text the model can actively consider right now from the text it has effectively completely forgotten. Anything outside that active window, whether it's at the very beginning of a huge document or just from way earlier in your chat, is literally gone from its view. So if a model can't remember the beginning of your document while it's analyzing the end of it, it's naturally going to give you inconsistent or incomplete results.
All right, Section 3, Why AI Models Hallucinate.
When you type a question into an AI, you really aren't asking a person what they think. You're actually asking a statistical system to give you the average human response to that kind of question. Now, that average can be incredibly informative or, deeply mediocre. But it really begs the question. If it's strictly just predicting text, why in the world do these models sometimes confidently fabricate facts and just lie to us? Well, it turns out hallucination is a structural consequence of predicting the highest probability token. It's not some malicious bug that they just need to fix. The model is simply evaluating the statistical likelihood of the very next word. It has absolutely zero mechanism to distinguish what it actually knows as fact from what merely sounds plausible. So totally false information can be generated with the exact same fluency and confidence as true information simply because the math says, hey, these words usually appear together. And that is exactly why a model can draft this beautifully structured, highly persuasive email, but then confidently invent a totally fake court case or cite a non-existent research paper in the very next paragraph.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 4, Overview of Major AI Platforms.
The AI landscape has really fragmented recently, and each platform brings genuinely different characteristics that are suited to very different professional tasks. Let's break them down real quick. First up, we've got ChatGPT, which really serves as the benchmark generalist. Then there's Gemini, Google's embedded workspace researcher. Claude acts as your deep analytical specialist. Grok focuses heavily on real-time intelligence by tapping directly into live social data. Then you have Perplexity, which is built entirely around cited research. It's honestly more of an answer engine than a conversational partner. And finally, DeepSeek, which has recently just exploded onto the scene as the open-source disruptor.
You'll notice a really clear division in the market right now between the generalists and the specialists. ChatGPT and Gemini are built for incredible breadth. They're just consistently competent across a massive variety of everyday tasks, from basic drafting to brainstorming.
But for the really heavy professional lifting, like precise, sustained logical reasoning or tracking down verifiable citations, specialists like Claude and Perplexity are frequently going to outperform them because their architectures are specifically tuned for those analytical workloads.
And then there's the disruptor, $6 million. That staggering number represents the reported training cost of DeepSeek's R1 model. Now, to put that into perspective for you, US tech giants like OpenAI and Google spend hundreds of millions of dollars to train their frontier models. DeepSeek matched their performance at an absolute fraction of the cost. And that has completely repriced the industry's assumption of what AI development actually costs, rapidly accelerating global competition.
But what makes DeepSeek truly unique for professionals is its open source nature. For heavily regulated industries, think law, finance, healthcare, DeepSeek's local deployment option is just a massive qualitative difference. It means organizations that are subject to strict data residency rules can run the AI entirely on their own internal infrastructure, so you're ensuring that no sensitive information ever leaves your secure environment.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 5, matching tools to tasks.
This alignment is absolutely critical for your daily workflows. In fact, you might want to take a screenshot of this breakdown because it perfectly matches common professional tasks with the platform best equipped to handle them. For drafting a basic report or an email, use ChatGPT or Claude for a really fluent narrative. When you're analyzing a massive legal document or a sprawling dataset, Claude is your absolute go-to because of its immense 200,000 plus token context window and that strong structural reasoning we talked about. If you're doing heavy research and you absolutely need verifiable sources, Perplexity gives you those citations right out of the gate. And if you're tracking a live breaking news event, Grok has that unique real-time integration with live social data.
Now, the professionals who extract the absolute most value from these platforms, they don't blindly trust them. They actually follow a strict internal process to maintain critical distance. First, they purposefully match the specialist tool to the specific task. Second, they read the outputs knowing full well the model is simply predicting probability, not stating absolute truth. Third, they independently verify facts to catch those inevitable hallucinations. And crucially, number 4, they know exactly when a task requires nuanced human intuition and they just set the AI aside entirely.
Finally, Section 6, privacy and data sovereignty.
Listen, submitting confidential client information, sensitive personal data, or legally privileged material to unauthorized consumer-grade AI tools carries massive professional risk. Remember, the text you submit might be stored externally on their servers, and even worse, it might be actively used to train their future models. You absolutely must understand your organization's policy and always look for the enterprise versions of these tools that offer strong, contracted data privacy guarantees. And when you're dealing with international platforms, data sovereignty is a vital factor. Take DeepSeek, for example. It's a Chinese company. While its local open-source deployment keeps your data perfectly safe on your own servers, using its cloud version may actually subject that data to Chinese jurisdiction. That creates a materially different legal reality compared to US-based providers, and it requires some very careful assessment for organizations operating under rules like GDPR, HIPAA, or strict national security considerations.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to consider as you step into the driver's seat and start integrating these powerful prediction engines into your daily work. You now understand that AI doesn't think, it computes probabilities based on vast oceans of human text. You know exactly which distinct tools to reach for, but the final hurdle is governance. Does your organization actually know how to protect its data while harnessing this incredible technology? It's a question you literally cannot afford to defer. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy exploring.